Coming up on News 10 ABC at noon, the State Department confirming that 3 Americans were among those killed in a terrorist attack today at a synagogue in Israel. We will have the very latest on this story. And parts of western New York getting pounded with snow, as much as 3 inches per hour falling overnight last night. And it's only mid-November. We'll show you more of these pictures.
And not a lot of snow around here, a little dusting here or there, but it's the cold and the wind out there that are the big stories. We'll tell you all about it. News 10 at noon is next.
Dedicated, determined, dependable. This is News 10 ABC at noon.
You could call it Snowvember. Certainly out in Buffalo, it looks more like midwinter than mid-November in parts of western New York. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm News 10 ABC's Christina Arangio. Here in much of the U.S., winter-like weather is in full effect. Much of the U.S. shivering from a powerful Arctic blast, and we're feeling that here in the capital region. Even in the southern states, which are usually warmer this time of year, of course, than we are, they're not being spared either. And in New York, 3 feet of snow already covering the Buffalo area, thanks to a storm that's been pounding the Great Lakes region. Whiteout conditions have caused a more than 100-mile stretch of the New York State Thruway to remain closed. State troopers had to use ATVs to deliver blankets and other emergency supplies to drivers stranded on the Thruway overnight. We want to show you some of these pictures now that ABC's Ginger Z posted on her Twitter account today. She asked for pictures of the hardest hit areas this morning on Good Morning America. And here we want to show you one here. This is an area of Lancaster, New York, and you can see just how much snow fell here. 29 inches in 24 hours. And a lot of people posting to Ginger's page. And right here we have another one. This one also from Buffalo. And if you look closely, the viewer tells Ginger those mounds right there, well, those are the cars that are entirely buried. As we said, it is not just in the north. Much of the country is at least shivering today. Cold weather affecting many of the 50 states. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez explains where it's the coldest and how long it might last.
A harsh, record-breaking taste of winter. Buffalo in the midst of what could be its worst snowstorm in 5 years. As much as 4 feet of lake-effect snow falling today in other parts of upstate New York.
This is Mother Nature at its best here in western New York, doing something that some people never see.
More than half of the country is blanketed in white today. The icy, blinding conditions causing problems on the roads.
But the roads are really slippery. Like, I just spun out twice.
From Kentucky, where this ambulance flipped, sending 2 people to the hospital, to Pennsylvania, where the first snow of the season triggered nearly 80 accidents yesterday alone.
I hate the snow. If it came the last day of winter, it would be too early for me.
Not everyone feels that way. This giant panda at the Toronto Zoo cannot get enough. But even where there's no snow to play in, they are feeling this pre-winter blast, with freeze warnings in effect from California to Florida. And it is below freezing here through much of the Northeast, about 20 degrees colder than normal, and it's expected to stay this way through the end of the week. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, New York.
And just a quick note here in Buffalo, they could continue to see the snow. The lake effect snow warning continues until 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, so they are not done with it yet. Well, here, thankfully, we are not seeing the heavy snow, just some flurries, but we are feeling those colder temps, certainly for this time of year. And area shelters making sure they're prepared to take in those who need the most help when the temperatures really start to plummet. For more on that, News 10 ABC's Jennifer Lee joins us in Albany, the Capital City Rescue Mission, with more. Jen.
I'm here at the Capital City Rescue Mission in Albany, where they're opening their doors once again for the Code Blue season. And with the frigid winter-like temperatures we're experiencing, the director here expects to call Code Blue sometime this week.
Code Blue is to help people to stay alive so that they don't freeze to death outside or have frostbite.
Albany County calls Code Blue when temperatures drop to 10 degrees or lower, or when we're expecting 12 or more inches of snow. But the rescue mission says they have an unofficial Code Blue, calling it when temperatures hover around 20 degrees.
If this winter holds true to last winter, we could expect numbers to increase about 10 to 15%.
Last winter, the rescue mission provided shelter for about 1,200 people during the Code Blue season. Because of the high demand last year, the shelter is now opening up another room with more beds available, and they're trying to get the word out about their program.
Sometimes people, because they survived the past winter, think they can get through another winter, but they're a year older and it's just too dangerous.
Another need for those without shelter is warm clothing. The rescue mission says they're always looking for donations.
All cold weather gear, jackets, clothes, hats, gloves, scarves, that helping us with donations to run because we are privately funded, and anything, people donating, volunteering. All your help is needed. For more information on how you can help out the Capital City Rescue Mission, you can check out our website, news10.com. Reporting in Albany, Jennifer Lee for News 10 ABC.
And we are following developing news out of Jerusalem. The State Department confirming that 3 Americans were among those killed in an attack today at a synagogue in Israel. Authorities say they were killed along with a British citizen by 2 Palestinian cousins armed with meat cleavers and a gun. The attackers were then killed in a shootout with police. Secretary of State John Kerry calling today's deadly attack an act of pure terror and senseless brutality and violence.
People who had come to worship God in the sanctuary of the synagogue were hatcheted and hacked and murdered in that holy place.
Because Americans were among the victims of the attack, the FBI is expected to join in on this investigation. We'll have much more on this story, including how this impacts the U.S. overall later in our newscast. Back here at home, Albany police continuing their investigation into the tragic death of a 19-year-old UAlbany sophomore. Police still working the scene at 461 Hamilton Street, trying to figure out exactly what turned the party over the weekend deadly for the student. Trevor Duffy from the Bronx, just one of 5 teens taken to the hospital over the weekend. Duffy in critical condition until he died yesterday. Police were called to the home early Sunday morning and found the teens there. Neighbors say the house frequently throws parties, and some say it is an underground fraternity.
They say it's, an underground frat house, but, there's no, it's an underground frat house, so it's just like a suspicion.
I don't know that it's a fraternal organization. That would be a little bit too premature for me. But what I'm being told is that this appears to be some type of organization.
UAlbany officials declined an on-camera interview, but said the house was in no way connected to any recognized frat. They also said Duffy did not live at the home. He lived on campus. Police couldn't say what, if any, charges could follow his death. The university says any students involved, though, could face sanctions. As that investigation goes on, university police also looking into a possible sexual assault on campus. They tell us a female student claims she was raped last month on a wooded path between Norwood Street and University Drive. That's near Western Avenue. Police say it happened around 10:20 on the night of October 14th, but the victim did not file a report until Sunday. She says she lost consciousness after being pushed to the ground and hit in the head. A description of the suspect not available. If you know anything or saw anything, University Police would like to hear from you. Well, happening this evening, local lawmakers talking about the serious problem of heroin that's plaguing many northeastern communities, specifically New York State and Vermont. Assemblymember Pat Fahey here in New York will be at the Guilderland Public Library this evening at 7, along with Albany County Sheriff Craig Apple, to let local communities know what they're doing to try to combat the crisis. Those who attend will, of course, have a chance to ask officials questions, and they can voice concerns. And coming up in our next half-hour, special report from News 10 ABC's Marty Casper that takes you inside the world of undercover work and the lengths detectives have to go to take down heroin dealers. News 10 ABC has been dedicated to following the casino situation right here in New York. Voters authorized 4 new upstate casinos, but that doesn't mean that the gambling regulators have to approve that many casinos. With the gambling market looking increasingly saturated, developers and casino critics say it is possible that only 3 licenses could be awarded. 16 proposals are in the mix for casino licenses, which will be split among 3 areas: the Capital Region, the Finger Lakes Southern Tier, and the Catskills Hudson Valley region. An Albany holiday tradition will be lighting up the park later this afternoon. The switch will be flipped at Price Chopper's Capitol Holiday Lights in Washington Park. This is the 18th annual Holiday Lights benefiting the Albany Police Athletic League. Lights in the park will be open to the public to drive through Washington Park beginning this Thursday through January 3rd. The cost, $15 per vehicle. The hours are Sundays through Thursdays, 6 to 9, and Fridays and Saturdays from 6 until 10 p.m. And News 10 ABC's Anya Tucker will be live at the official lighting later this afternoon. For more information and the most up-to-date schedule of events, you can log on to our website at news10.com. It's that time of year. Still ahead on News 10 ABC at noon, we are staying on top of the latest out of Jerusalem. We told you about the terrorist attack there where 3 Americans were killed. The synagogue incident, the latest violence after the death of a Palestinian bus driver in Jerusalem who died under disputed circumstances. We'll explain this for you coming up. And authorities in Hong Kong are chipping away at barricades in the main protest site, but student leaders are continuing to stand their ground. Details from Hong Kong after the break. First, though, we want to remind you, as always, if you have a news story or you've seen news breaking, reach out to us. You can email us, call us, get a hold of us on Facebook, or send us a tweet. And here's Steve.
All right, Christina, it is mid-November, although it feels like mid-February out there, only in the 20s, even some teens showing up at this hour. When will it warm up, or better yet, will it warm up anytime soon? The Storm Tracker forecast up next.
Here's meteorologist Steve Teeling with your Storm Tracker forecast.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It is 12:12, coming up on 12:13 on this Tuesday afternoon. Have you been outside yet? It's a little bit of a shock to the system. It's rather cold, shall we say, out there. It's pretty, though. Take a look at 87 south of the Twin Bridges. Look at that blue sky we have out there for you this afternoon. Traffic moving along nicely. I mean, it looks cold out there, but it does look pretty. Some of the puffy fair weather cumulus clouds passing on by, and plenty of blue to go around as well. Now, occasionally may see some flurries come out of those clouds, but it should be rather dry as we go through the day. All right, heading to some of our webcams here. Look at the town of Webb up on Stillwater Reservoir. It's not going to be long with these temperatures before that reservoir freezes on over. Nothing like that yet. You can still see the blue water, but look how much snow is kind of accumulating up that way. Yeah, it's really starting. It's getting there. It is absolutely getting there. All right, Long Lake webcam. Look at Old Glory flapping in the wind up there. Some of the wind gusts have been anywhere 25, 30, 35 miles per hour. So, again, occasionally windy out there. Now, isn't that a pretty shot? Kitchell Bay webcam. Look at that. Look at all that blue out there. Probably center of the lake, there's a lot of white caps out there going on. And then our Hessville webcam, some blue, some white, some snow left over in the meadow, but looking pretty nonetheless. Our Dunkin' Donuts Storm Tracker weather camera. I want to show you something interesting here. Can you see this kind of like wispy things coming out of the clouds? That's actually what we call virga. It's rain and or snow that evaporates before it reaches the ground, and in this case, it's cold enough to be some snow. So yeah, occasionally some flurries, may even have a snow shower come on by from time to time that may whiten up the ground, dust up the ground, but that should be the worst of it locally. What we are going to be watching is this lake effect snow streamer coming in off the lakes that is going to kind of meander southward into Herkimer and Hamilton counties. We'll talk about that in a moment. That's the band that's been dumping upwards of 3 inches of snow just south of Buffalo. I should say 3 feet of snow south of Buffalo. And it's going to continue until further notice. Lake effect snow. Okay, we have the warnings for Herkimer County, the northern part of Herkimer County, and points west of there until, again, further notice. We do have lake effect snow advisory for Hamilton County until further notice. All right, let's check out the winds. What are they doing this hour? Well, right now, west-northwest 17, gusting to 23. Not as high as it's been this morning, but still pretty healthy there. Look at that, 27-degree temperature. Look how dry that air is, a 7-degree dew point. Man, oh man, it's dry. If your hands feel like they're getting chapped and need some lotion, well, you're not alone, let me tell you that. 28 Schenectady, 26 in Clifton Park currently. We have upper 20s from Troy. 19 is the current temperature in Grafton right now. Holy cow. 25 North Creek, but only 19 in Lake Pleasant. Tupper Lake 23, down the Dolgeville it is 22. 29 to near 30 in Glens Falls. Moreau is in the upper 20s as well as Corinth, but mid-20s Gansfort with Argyle 28. Heading on over to Stratton Mountain in Vermont, 19, 20 Mount Snow. West Arlington currently at 24 degrees. How high will it go? Well, not really, maybe a degree or two more this afternoon. That is it. 20s to low 30s up and down the Hudson River Valley. Speculator 23, North Creek not getting out of the 20s today. Same in Schoharie and Amsterdam and on into Gloversville. Westerlo, your high will be 27. Upper 20s, Bennington into North Adams with Pittsfield right around 28. All right, let's get you to that 7-day forecast. And there is hope at the end of this forecast, at least relief. Maybe that's a better word to say. 20s and 30s for the next 5 days. That includes this afternoon right on into Saturday. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we could see some snow showers, flurries at times, maybe a little lake effect snow north and west of town. It looks dry Saturday, still cold at 36. Sunday, we have a bit of a warm-up. Not a bit. That's a major warm-up, yes, considering 48.
Thank you.
Some rain showers Sunday night. And then on Monday, even though there might be some rain showers again in the afternoon, we get into the warm slot as it looks right now. The high for Monday, 55. So, yeah, the deep freeze today through Saturday, and then a nice little bit of a warm-up that may stick around for a few days, but we'll take it.
We'll take it after this.
We need it.
Yeah, we'll want it for sure.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. Still ahead on News 10 ABC at noon as the country waits for a grand jury's decision on whether to indict the officer who killed Michael Brown. Missouri's governor has declared a state of emergency as a precaution in the event of violence, but the public not taking the decision very well. More on this is coming up in just a moment. Stay with us.
You're watching News 10 ABC at noon.
Continuing our coverage of the violence in Israel, this time it was a violent attack at a synagogue in Jerusalem. Palestinian gunmen killing 4 people, including 3 American citizens. ABC's Karen Travers has the latest on this.
It was a brutal, horrific attack. 2 Palestinian men armed with knives, axes, and guns storming a synagogue in Jerusalem.
We were coming into the synagogue, and we heard gunshots from downstairs.
The rampage left 4 worshipers dead, 3 Americans, 1 Brit, all dual Israeli citizens. Another 6 were injured, many from direct axe blows to the head. The attackers were shot dead by police. It was the first time in the long-standing Israeli-Palestinian conflict that worshipers inside a synagogue were targeted.
Obviously, we condemn in the strongest terms these attacks.
The attack took place in an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood that has a large population of English-speaking immigrants. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas condemned the attack. No Palestinian group has claimed responsibility, but Hamas applauded the violence. Tensions in Jerusalem are at their highest point in years, centered around the Al-Aqsa Mosque, on a site that's one of the holiest places to both Jews and Muslims. Both sides point the finger at each other.
This is a natural result of the Israeli provocation, of the Israeli desecration of all these holy sites.
Motivated by the same hatred, by the same Islamist extremism that beheads innocent civilians.
Because Americans were involved in today's attack, the FBI will play a role in the investigation. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Shocking testimony from convicted 9/11 terrorist Zacchaeus Moussaoui. He claims officials in Saudi Arabia plotted to kill Bill and Hillary Clinton by shooting down Air Force One during a trip to the United Kingdom, and that Saudi royals personally provided him with funding for the 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center. The Saudis deny those accusations. Moussaoui is 8 years into a life sentence for pleading guilty to terror and murder conspiracy in connection with the 2001 terror hijackings. New numbers indicate terrorist attacks increased by nearly 45% in 2013. A global study says there were 10,000 terrorist attacks around the world last year, 44% more than in 2012. The London-based Institute for Economics and Peace says those attacks in 2013 resulted in nearly 18,000 deaths. It says 4 groups dominated the attacks: the Islamic State, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban. Iraq was the country most affected by that terrorism. Workers in Hong Kong are removing some of the barricades at a democracy protest site where activists have camped out for nearly 2 months in a standoff with authorities. Backed by a court order, the workers cut plastic ties holding metal barricades together, and they're loading the barricades onto a truck. Chinese authorities have declared the gatherings illegal, and neither the Hong Kong government nor the student leaders have shown any willingness to compromise. Still ahead on News 10 ABC at noon, a crucial vote expected in the Senate today on a project that's been on hold for 6 straight years now. We will have the details of the Keystone Pipeline vote and tell you if it's expected to pass the Senate. And Honda being sued over a death that has been linked to a flawed airbag. Coming up, what the automaker is doing to prevent the crisis from happening again.
watching News 10 ABC at noon.
Thank you for staying with us, everyone. I'm News 10 ABC's Christina Orangio. The Senate is expected to vote today on the Keystone Pipeline bill that was approved by the House last week. The legislation would authorize construction of the Keystone Pipeline, which would run from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. The project has been tied up for 6 years due to politics, environmental reviews, and objections over where it would be built. The bill will need 60 votes to pass the Senate. It's believed the Senate has the votes to pass it. Law enforcement preparations in Ferguson, Missouri haven't gone over very well with protesters. As people await news of whether a white police officer will be indicted in the shooting death of an unarmed black teen, some wonder if declaring a state of emergency might be too much.
I would go as far as to say the entire region is gripped by fear from the announcement of the National Guard, police, grenades, helmets, shields. It's like they're preparing for war instead of peace.
It's not clear when a grand jury will hand down a decision on whether or not to indict Officer Darren Wilson in the fatal shooting of Michael Brown, and it's not clear how people will react. Governor Jay Nixon says he is bringing in the National Guard as a precaution in case the announcement sparks violence, like what has occasionally been seen in the aftermath of Brown's death. Murder mastermind Charles Manson is getting married. The 80-year-old man convicted of the notorious murders of 7 people, including pregnant actress Sharon Tate, has gotten a marriage license. The bride-to-be is 26-year-old Afton Elaine Burton, who spent the past 9 years trying to exonerate him. No date has been set, but a wedding coordinator has been assigned by the prison to handle those nuptials. We need to get a check of our forecast now. Here we are dealing with the cold, not what you'd expect for this time in November. This is more like midwinter, as we've been saying. Meteorologist Steve Teeling has the latest for us right now.
Oh, have you been outside yet, Christina?
I haven't in a few hours, but early this morning I was really cold.
And it's even colder out there now. When we came in, it was still in the 30s. Now it's in the 20s right now. We're going to take a look at those temperatures. But first, our radar and satellite. I want to show you where the latest is when it comes to flurries, snow showers, and lake effect snow. All right, let's start with the big dogs. How about the big lake effect snow bands? We have one up here, and then one just south of Buffalo. There you go. Those are the 2 main ones. Now, you may have a flurry, snow shower that come on through the local region from time to time. Worst case scenario would be a dusting, but it looks like it's going to be rather quiet this afternoon. This band up here, that's going to migrate down off to the south, and that would be tonight into tomorrow, and that's really going to be clipping Herkimer counties, the northern part of Herkimer County and Hamilton County. Now, temperatures certainly cold enough for snow. Look at this, 27 degrees in Albany. We have 24 Pittsfield, Stanford right now 18, Hunter Mountain 22. The teens up in Indian Lake at 22 degrees. Right now, Glens Falls, I guess you could say the warm one on the block at 29 degrees. That cold is solidly entrenched all the way from Canada into the nation's midsection into our neck of the woods, and it's going to be sticking around all week long. The rest of your day, just know that it's not going to get out of the 20s. I think 29 is going to be it. We're at 27 right now. By the time the sun goes down into this evening, we're already dropping down into the low 20s, and winds are going to be gusty this afternoon. Some of the wind gusts could exceed 35 miles an hour. So, yeah, wind chills will be in the teens for a good part of the day. We'll take a look at that 7-day forecast. In case you missed it, a little glimmer of hope with some milder temps. We'll have that for you again coming up.
Okay, looking forward to hearing about it. Thank you, Steve. Still ahead on News 10 ABC at noon. Authorities have been cracking down on the war on drugs for a good chunk of time now, especially when it comes to heroin. Not only has use of that drug gone up, but the overdoses have increased as well. When we come back, we'll take a look into what officials in Albany County are doing to try to keep the drug out of your neighborhood.
You're watching News 10 ABC at noon.
Thank you for staying with us, everyone. I'm News 10 ABC's Christina Orangio. Here at News 10 ABC, we have been dedicated to bringing you the latest in the fight against heroin. In Albany County, detectives have spent the last several months targeting dealers. Our Marty Casper had the chance to be there exclusively throughout the entire investigation.
It's late, it's raining, and the target's in sight.
He's through it now, Riley. He's through it now.
On the line, police claim is a big fish in the heroin trade.
He's always had the heroin no matter what time of day we called him.
Getting this close to a big fish doesn't happen overnight. How they did it in a minute.
Our purpose here is to go for the bigger fish as we work up the chain.
Climbing that chain is no easy task and can't be done without confidential informants.
For the first time was to get off charges.
After an arrest, this CI decided to flip and help deputies. He sets up the buy, gets wired, and is watched as he approaches the dealer.
Yeah, they're both at the picnic table now. Okay, CI's walking up on him right now. They only have one bundle. That's all they have. They have no other heroin.
The CI finishes the buy.
Okay, he's walking off. He's walking off. Looks like a done deal.
And police swarm in.
Rolling up right now.
They search the two on site. Shocked and caught off guard, they're brought downtown. With felonies looming, detectives begin their questioning.
I know a few people that are moving some decent amount of
Crack? Crack or heroin?
Well,
this is your opportunity. You can think about it. You can think about helping yourself out.
that's what I'm sure. He comes to Albany all the time.
Okay, now who's that?
I just know him by cheap.
Roy Laney's a passenger.
Back out in the rain and on the street, police approach the suspected big fish known as G.
EU2264, got 2 detained.
As soon as police detain the suspect, they bring him as well as his car back to police headquarters where they began searching for drugs. But they don't stop there. With a warrant in hand, police enter the man's house. Once inside, deputies find what they're after.
We unzipped the cushion and we found it a hidden compartment. He had cut out some of the stuffing.
1,100 bags of heroin, $700 in crack cocaine, and pure heroin, ready to be cut up. Another find.
We also have in the bag here some drug records. As you can see that there's some dollar amounts.
As well as addresses and phone numbers of people who owe him money. The drugs, plus a wad of cash found in the car, totals near $7,000. Rice says he's a critical link to getting drugs from New York City into the capital region.
He's a direct line.
A big fish.
A big fish.
And that was News 10 ABC's Marty Casper with that special report. Aside from arresting that big fish as a result of the operation, police also brought drug charges against 5 other people. We need to get you caught up on some of today's top stories now. Police trying to learn more about a weekend party and how it is connected to the death of a 19-year-old Albany student. Trevor Duffy from the Bronx, just one of 4 other teens taken to the hospital over the weekend. Duffy died yesterday. Both the university and police not saying whether or not the house is a fraternity. Meanwhile, it is unclear whether the other students will face charges. Tonight, area residents will have a chance to ask lawmakers and law enforcement officials about the heroin crisis in New York. Assemblywoman Pat Fahey and Albany County Sheriff Craig Apple will be at the Guilderland Public Library tonight at 7 to field questions and lay out the strategy to fight this drug. Of course, we just saw Marty Casper's report all about heroin and the growing epidemic. In business news, the airlines are saving millions on the cost of jet fuel, but have not passed those savings on to you, the consumer. Airfares are actually higher. And with business booming, analysts say airlines have no reason to offer lower fares. About 85% of domestic seats are being sold. That's a record. Toyota is planning on selling emissions-free hydrogen-powered vehicles. The fuel cell car will be available in Japan next month and in the U.S. and Europe the next year. Consumers had better be prepared, though, to dig deep into those pockets as a starting price, $57,000. Honda is now offering to replace potentially defective airbag parts across the U.S. The move comes even though Honda's latest recall only covers cars in 13 states and territories with very high humidity, which is thought to be related to the problem. And now the family of one Florida woman is suing. This is Hein Tran. She died in a minor car crash after her family's attorney says the airbag exploded, sending out sharp flying pieces of metal. Nearly 1 week after her death, The recall notice for the airbag came in the mail. And yesterday, the family filed a lawsuit claiming Honda didn't do enough to fix the problem or to notify customers. In fact, they claim Honda had told dealers not to proactively alert drivers because they didn't have enough replacement parts.
To not get these cars off the road when you have that many years to do it, that's a major problem. This was a needless tragedy that did not need to happen.
Tran died about 2 months ago. At least 5 deaths worldwide have been linked to those faulty inflators. Well, admit it, you're checking Facebook at work. And since that's the case, you might actually be able to do it pretty soon, guilt-free. Facebook is said to be testing an office-friendly version. According to the Financial Times, the service is called Facebook at Work. It will look and feel just like the social media website, but the difference, the service is meant to be about work life only, for chatting with coworkers and collaborating on office projects. While Facebook may become acceptable at work more often, some restaurants are increasing business by asking customers to hang up their cell phones while dining, literally. At one restaurant in Sioux City, Iowa, if guests put their phones in a special box during the meal, they get a 10% discount. Last year, a Los Angeles restaurant announced a policy against phones and photography in an attempt to curb gastro ad. Some chefs argue that phones at the table can detract from not only the conversation, but the taste of the food. Research has shown that even if you're not checking your email or Instagramming your brunch, the mere presence of a smartphone can reduce empathy and diminish a conversation between two people. Well, forget Thanksgiving Day openings and even Black Friday. Many retailers have already started their holiday shopping push. Consumers ready to shop may find some deals now, but many items will be worth the wait. Personal finance expert Vera Gibbons says there's one area where shoppers may want to be shopping right now. If it's a gadget on the list, Gibbons suggests Black Friday, or for some retailers, Thanksgiving, for items like cookware and small appliances, HD TVs, tablets, laptops, and video games. That may surprise some shoppers looking for the best electronics deals on Cyber Monday. But Gibbons says the big online shopping day is the day to snag apparel.
You tend to see 45% more clothing deals on Cyber Monday itself. And Cyber Monday is generally when you see store-wide discounts. Take 30% off everything, take 40% off everything. So if you have a favorite retailer or a favorite brand, Cyber Monday would be an excellent time to shop for apparel.
Good advice. Consumers who will do most of their shopping online may want to get an even earlier start. A survey by Adobe predicts overall online prices will be at their lowest on Thanksgiving Day. Still ahead on News 10 ABC at noon, after a successful return from the International Space Station last week, NASA astronaut and RPI grad Reed Wiseman is back in the States, and he's speaking with the media. I had the chance to speak with Wiseman about his first mission in space from the Johnson Space Center in Houston this morning. We talked actually before he left for the mission and now that he's back, and we'll share some of the most recent interviews coming up after the break.
Here's meteorologist Steve Teeling with your Storm Tracker forecast.
And welcome back. We have more cold weather to talk about. It's going to be lasting for the rest of this week, that's for sure. We're first going to start outside with one of our live traffic cameras here. You can see the traffic is light. This is 87 up around exit 13, but it looks mostly cloudy at this point. A little blanket of snow out on the road there, or the sides of the roads. Looks more in the way of clouds and sun mixed together here. I-90 around exit 5A. And again, the traffic is light. Man, maybe everybody's staying in because of the cold. Well, you know, I guess if you have to go out, you have to go out, but there's always something to be said about staying in a nice warm home, doesn't it? All right, Old Forge webcam, this is what we're looking at. Look at that blue sky, my goodness. Oh, it's just a couple of months ago we were swimming in that lake, and now we're looking at snow blanketing the sand. All right, North Adams webcam, it looks like some clouds are headed your way, and I wouldn't be surprised if flurries or some snow showers came out of those clouds, so we'll keep an eye on you. If anything, you might see a dusting. That should be the extent of it. Our Dunkin' Donuts Storm Tracker weather camera in Schenectady. This is atop Proctor's, where, by the way, a lot of good shows are headed our way this month and next month. Right now, we're showing a mixture of clouds and sunshine out there after an earlier whitening of the ground with some snow showers this morning. All right, most of the activity right now is pushed on out of here, and currently we're relatively dry, just some flurries around. But in this type of weather situation, you know, snow showers, a little light snow can fall out of these clouds at any time. So we'll keep an eye on the radar, but right now it is quiet. Lake effect snow streamers getting going out to the western part of the state. Now, looking at the whole country, it is relatively quiet. Everybody's cold for the most part, other than the desert southwest and down into Florida. Although Florida, you're seeing some clouds and rain, which are cooling things down, but really not much happening other than the cold across the country. All right, we have a blank map here for you, so we're going to skip that and head on into our temperatures. Schenectady, 29. Out of the Pine Bush, it is currently 30. Brunswick is 27. Down the Glenmont, you're currently in the upper 20s. Mid-20s, Malta Ridge, 30, Ballston Lake. We have 26 in Greenwich, pretty chilly for you at this hour. 22 in Dolgeville. Little Falls currently at 24, along with Palatine Bridge and Hessville. Duanesburg, you're only 22 degrees. Down the New Paltz, 10 better than that at 32. Kingston, you've popped to 34. Wappingers Falls, 31, and Lake Katrine right now an even 30. And then we get into the 20s as you get into the higher elevations of the Berkshires. Alford, 26. Great Barrington, 27. Look at Lanesboro and Pittsfield only at 24 right now. All right, we're going to keep an eye on the lake effect snow. That's tonight into tomorrow morning. See how it moves further off to the south, and then it's going to head back up to the north. So, you know, as the winds kind of modulate back and forth, so too shall those lake effect snow streamers. Then we have a system that starts headed our way later Wednesday into Wednesday night. That could give us flurries and snow showers, and then more snow showers possible during the day on Thursday. So we'll have to see if bands of some snow come on through. We'll keep an eye on that aspect of the forecast as well. Heading on into Friday, looks like more in the way of flurries and scattered snow showers around, and the cold continues. All right, here we go. The windy at times today. Some of the winds will gust as high as 35, 40 miles an hour. High temperatures not getting out of the 20s the rest of the day with a mix of clouds and sun and some flurries, maybe a snow shower. Tonight, fair but very cold. The low is going to be 18 downtown, low teens up to the north with, again, snow showers possible, especially in the high country. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, only low to mid-30s. So it's an extended stay of cold, but not, 2 months worth. We're only looking at, 6 or 7 days of this. And then we warm up on Sunday to 48 and then on Monday up to 55. So there is a little bit of relief in sight. So,
right, a little light at the end of the tunnel there.
I'm checking out a lot of the Facebook things where people are complaining already.
They are?
Oh, it's cold. Oh, what are we doing here? Oh, New York, that's what, it's part of living here.
It really is.
It's one of the most beautiful parts of the country, and
we get this type of weather.
I
mean, I think it's probably because, we don't expect midwinter and mid-November, but sometimes it happens. This is not unheard of.
So
we're just out of practice, that's all.
That's right. Everybody take a chill pill, and we'll be okay.
All right. Will do. Thank you, Steve.
Okay.
Still ahead on News 10 ABC at noon. We haven't gotten too much snow here yet in the capital region, thankfully, just dusting. But some of us are already dreading the sight of it. One panda at the Toronto Zoo, though, is loving his environment. The video that may change your mind about the wintertime. Coming up after the break.
You're watching News 10 ABC at noon.
Welcome back, everyone. We first introduced you to 11-year-old J.P. Hunsinger last week here on News 10 ABC. He is the Clifton Park boy who's battling a serious form of childhood Alzheimer's disease. He's been adopted by Albany's lacrosse and basketball teams and made an honorary captain by Troy Police. And last night, hundreds of people turned out for a fundraiser to benefit J.P. and his family. Some people had never even heard of the disease or even knew the family personally. But that didn't stop them from coming out to show their support.
He's a kid. That's what did it for me. He's a kid. I definitely wanted to do anything I could. And once I heard that the event was going on, I thought that was a perfect way to be able to help.
And all the proceeds from last night's event going to Niemann-Pick Research, which is the name of the disease, Niemann-Pick C. Well, this morning, very special treat on News 10 ABC. I had the chance to chat with RPI grad and NASA astronaut Reid Wiseman, who spent nearly 6 months in space aboard the International Space Station. I remember talking to him before he left. He was so excited. It was his first time in space. And today I got to talk to him at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. He's been back about a week now. And through social media, Reid kept us up to date with his whole journey. This is his Twitter page, and you can see he has just been posting so many things the entire time he was in space. And just 18 hours ago, he talked about how the bottoms of his feet were a little sore, but otherwise his body had adapted incredibly quick. Gravity seemed stronger than I remember. And here are the next folks who are going to be heading up to the International Space Station right here. All of the pictures he shared over his entire time just delighted so many of us across the world. Reid returned to Earth over a week ago, landing in Kazakhstan on November 9th. And this was Reid's first space flight, as I mentioned. He said everything caught him by surprise in space, but he learned that the human body is amazing and adapts so quickly. And when I asked him what his most exhilarating experience was, here's what he had to say.
It's got to be coming home. Re-entry is special. There's no way to train for that. It's a very dynamic event, and it's a little bit scary, but for the most part, it's just pure fun. Next is being a dad for a little while. That's really the job I want for the next couple months, maybe the next couple years. So we'll see what the future holds, but for now, I got that one locked in.
Always so great to talk with him. He has 2 daughters, and he talked on his Twitter page. I was checking it out earlier about how he couldn't wait to hug them when he landed in Kazakhstan last week. Well, again, we thank Reid so much for joining us this morning and sharing his space experience with us and the world through his awesome Twitter page. We'll be right back with the final check of our weather. Time now for a look at what's coming up on News 10 ABC beginning at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We are staying on top of the death investigation of a Albany student. News 10 ABC's Liz Holliday speaking with students. She'll have a live report for us. Plus, our Josh Roltenberg looking into what happened as CDTA says one of its buses was shot at yesterday afternoon with an unknown weapon. And in case you missed it, we'll take another inside look as detectives in Albany County target heroin dealers. Those stories plus an updated look at your storm tracker forecast when you join Elisa and Lydia for News 10 ABC at 4. Finally from us, a baby giraffe gets his first look at the outside world. At the Santa Barbara Zoo in California, a 4-day-old giraffe ventured outside for the very first time yesterday. His name, appropriately, how cute, Buttercup.
Hey.
The little guy isn't all that little compared to people visiting the zoo. On Friday, a day after he was born, he was measured at 6'8", 186 pounds. And check this little guy out. The Toronto resident made the most of the snow while the rest of the city shivered with temperatures dipping below the freezing mark. DeMau tumbled in the snow in his outdoor enclosure yesterday, and it looks like he was having a grand old time at the Toronto Zoo there. An adorable panda.
Giraffe and the panda all looking healthy and ready to brave this winter weather. It's going to be cold out there today, maybe some flurries or a snow shower.
All right, we're ready for it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. We'll see you at 4.